Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Faith Fitness and Fastballs. I have my boy here, Randolph Gassoway. How you doing today, bro?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for having me.
Good, man. How's the downtime been with everything?
Peaceful so
Yeah,
far. Yeah, able to reset, so it's much needed.
for sure, for sure. I just give a quick summary of how we know each other and who you are. So Randolph is a scout for the Seattle Mariners. You've been How long have you been scouting for now?
2 years.
Okay, okay.
hmm
So you've been scouted for 2 years. You also played pro ball for a good bit of time. Me and Randolph actually we played against each other a lot growing up
hmm
when you were with the Monarchs,
hmm
and then we met when we used to work at Mike Cameron's place, and then worked out together when we were both playing pro ball. So I think we became pretty close around that time period. Just picking each other's brains on hitting and stuff like that. And it's
hmm
crazy. You were the first. It's so funny. You were the first person to kind of walk me through some of the analytical side when it comes to hitting.
hmm
And then I always say my best hitting coach was my second year of pro ball that I ever had, and he's actually with the Rangers now. His name's Donnie Ecker, I think.
Yeah.
And y'all kind of hit on some of the same things when it comes to like the swings and stuff like that. So I've always kind of followed your stuff when it comes to swing. So, but yeah, man, we definitely want to get into how you got here. So walk us through some of your high school playing days and a little bit of your draft process that you went through in 2013.
Yeah. So high school, I grew up in Ellenwood, went
Okay.
to Woodland and Stockbridge, and then my senior year, I transferred to Riverwood up in Sandy Springs.
Hmm.
Um, so just thought it was the best decision as far as facilities and um, as far as making myself marketable for the
Hmm.
draft. Some advice I got, but yeah, man. I mean, started there. When I transferred to Riverwood, it was not not a hard transition because it was baseball. That was the main
Hmm.
focus. Obviously school, but baseball was why I went there, and it was easier transition. My mom got a job up that way, so we were able to transition a little bit easier. Then I kind of figured out how good I was once I started getting more attention towards my senior year.
Hmm.
Um, just being around the I guess upper echelon of players,
Right.
and just took it from there. And then was fortunate enough to get drafted the 16th round in 2013 to the Baltimore Orioles. So um, they gave me an opportunity, and I made the most of it. Played 6 years with them, making it to
Hmm.
Double A, and then the Pirates picked me up in 2018. So well, I was fortunate enough to continue my career a little bit longer, and got released after a year with them. And then yeah, that's how everything kind of
For sure.
progressed. Yeah.
For sure, man. So, walk us through. Let's go back to like I guess high school. Were you like 100%? I'm trying to get drafted and signing, or was college an option? Like, walk us through like your thought process as I guess a 17-year-old at that time period.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of cool getting those letters in the mail. I don't know how they do it nowadays, but you got letters in the mail, and I remember saving them. I still got them somewhere, but inviting you to come to campus or give me a contact information. Some had handwritten letters from the head coaches at the time,
Hmm.
so it made me feel a little special. So college was definitely first, and that was always what I was growing up to do as far as aspirations. Mom, I'll go to school, get a degree. Everything else will happen later, and you know, let God lead the path. So I wanted to go to school first, and then once everything kind of narrowed down, I understood like you don't just go to school and then you can go out next year for pro ball as
Hmm.
far as 4 years. So I was like, I want to go to school, but my ultimate goal is to make it to the big leagues. So
Hmm.
I committed to a junior college, Middle Georgia, and
At the time,
you
they
know,
were a powerhouse too. They were good.
yeah, they were good. They were a good powerhouse JUCO, and I could go there for a year, develop, and then get an opportunity to get drafted the next year. So I took that route, and I don't know. I don't know if it was the best route. I guess it was my route, and that's what
Yeah.
makes it good. So that's what I chose. But yeah, my aspirations were definitely big leagues, but it was cool getting those letters in the mail and make you feel special. So that kind of drew my attention towards college as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, it kind of
For
pulled me
sure.
left and right. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. No, I completely agree with that. That is, because I think as a 16, 17-year old, you do start to get those letters in the mail, whether they're getting sent out to 500 people or just you. It does make you feel special because it's like, okay, like some of the fruits of my labor are starting to show that I'm even being recognized to get looked at some of these colleges. So I guess for you, playing in pro ball for all those years, what are some of the biggest takeaways you got? from being a baseball player, but also getting into everyday life of just being a professional in general.
Yeah, that's a good one. So some things, just how to build a routine,
Yeah.
whether it's getting up and getting your breakfast in, getting to the field early, getting your stretch routine in, activation, all that stuff, and then cage routine and defensive stuff. Um, but those routines, building relationships, shaking hands, looking people in the eyes, that helps with the professional career. Um, and then just basically how to have a growth mindset. Like, you're going to be put in tough situations in pro ball, especially when it's unfamiliar territory. You've never been in that environment. I'm an 18-year-old
Hmm.
kid when I first started out, so I didn't know what to expect. So just taking that leap of faith, stepping
Yeah.
out of the comfort zone, becoming a learner more so than, oh yeah, I know. Growing up, if you have the talent and skills, you kind of think you know everything. Guilty
Right.
of that. So it's like, yeah, you become a learner, become a student of the game, and just kind of learn from the people before you who've done it and had success
Hmm.
with it. Just taking small steps too. People see the freaks of the world that get drafted, and then 1 year later they're in the big leagues, where that doesn't really
Right.
happen for everybody. It's a
Right.
select few that get that opportunity. So just taking the small steps and just understanding that those small gains, are growth as well, not just necessarily going from A ball to AAA and then or A
Hmm.
ball to the big leagues. Like those small steps matter as well. And then just analyzing your mistakes. Those are some of the things I learned in pro ball. Like, just knowing you're not perfect, and just understanding who you are as an individual when you look in the mirror. I think that
Right.
helps a lot. And then it's easier for you to make improvements and be your best, or you're the best critic, rather than someone else telling you everything. You kind of have to take a step back and understanding what you can improve on in your game and in daily life, and as just a human being. So those are some of the
Yeah.
things I learned. Yeah.
For sure. Good, man. Good. And I guess because for me, I remember when I got drafted, I was like when I signed, at least I was 22
Hmm.
because I went out of college, and it was a complete culture shock for me at 22. So how was that for you at 18? I can only imagine what that was like. Like that first like week of after you signed. Where you went to rookie league? Like where'd you go as a
Yeah.
okay? So you went to rookie league. How was that for you as an 18-year-old?
Yeah, so I went to rookie ball, which was in Florida, Sarasota, Florida.
Okay.
And the games weren't different because I was used to playing a lot, coming out of high school, or in high school and then coming out of high school. I like
Yeah.
travel ball scene and everything. So that the games weren't a lot, but it was the off the field. Like, I had to open up a bank account,
Hmm.
understanding when to do my laundry. Let's see, I wouldn't say when to eat, but more so understanding that, you have this time allotted for this, and then this time allotted for that. So it's more so
Hmm.
like, okay, getting your ducks in order, where it's more of like, um, I got to eat, but I also got to hit at 2 o'clock or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. The off the field stuff, getting your rest, understanding that, yeah, you are a kid, have your fun, but also you have some responsibilities now.
Hmm.
So that was some things that was adjustment piece for me, the off the field stuff more so. Um, and then like also like just lifestyle, just
Yeah.
more of, who's there for you, who has good intentions, who doesn't. Um, just making sure that, like, your head's on the swivel in a sense, where you're paying attention to what your surroundings. So those are some of the things that kind of shocked me.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, living in a hotel, from the time I got drafted to, we went to Instructs then. Some
Hmm.
people don't have that now, but going from season to different locations in a hotel was kind of weird for me. Not sleeping in your own bed was kind of weird, but
Yeah.
um, those are the shocks for me. But when I was at the field, it was relaxing, it was normal.
Yeah, we had
But
we had
yeah,
to learn how to live out of a suitcase for like months at a time.
yeah, that was kind of weird for me, because you got to make sure
Yeah,
your clothes are washed. You don't want to go around stink and
yeah,
musty, and yeah,
that
disrespecting other
that's
people. So yeah,
for
all the
sure. And
time.
then did you get drafted with Josh Hart? Wasn't he with you?
Yep,
There?
Josh was my
Okay.
same year. Josh was a first round
Yeah,
pick from, I think he was a first overall, or not first overall, but our first pick from the Orioles that year.
yeah,
Him
yeah.
and then
And
Hunter
did y'all were
Harvey.
y'all
Yeah.
together in rookie ball together?
Yep, we were there in rookie ball, so it was
Okay.
me, Josh. We grew up together too. We were on the
Right.
same. We were on the same 9-year-old team, 10-year-old team, and then our team started to break up around that time. But yeah, I
Hmm.
know Josh for a while. Yeah, we were on the same rookie ball team too. That was fun. That was familiar. So that's why it was natural.
That's
It
good.
was it was good. Some guys I played with in the travel ball circuit were with me with
Hmm.
Baltimore too. Jonah Heim, World
Okay.
Series champion, Gold Glover. So like it was kind of cool to be around those guys, and to kind of build that rapport with those guys over time.
Definitely.
So that was pretty cool, and they made it comfortable.
Good. Okay.
Hmm.
Nice, man. So let's fast forward to towards the end of your career. You're starting to see the writing on the wall that I might need to pivot. What does that look like for you? Because before you answer, we
Hmm.
all get that. We all get that writing on the wall. Whether it's 2 years in after whether it's after high school, after college, after pro ball, or for
Yeah,
some people, God willing, they get to make it and play however many years in the big leagues. So I guess for you, what was that like writing on the wall moment where it's like my time might be coming to an end?
yeah. So like the 2017, I was in high A
Mm-hmm.
and had an okay season. I never really hit many home runs, just hit the ball hard and low.
Yeah.
And then 2018, I was back in high A and I was 22, 23. And I was like, all right, like I did okay enough to promote, and push myself. Like,
Right.
what am I doing wrong? So that was like an analyzing moment of, okay, what do I need to adjust? And what could I control? Because there are a lot of things we can't, but control the
Mm-hmm.
controllables. So I took a step back and then I was like, all right, maybe this is this environment. Like I feel like I'm on the right path. I just need a different environment. And
Yeah.
fortunately enough, I was Rule 5, minor league Rule 5 to the Pirates. And at the
Mm-hmm.
time, I was like, oh, this might be the opportunity. This might be another door to open that continues me on my path, on my journey. And I was 23 then, turned 24 that summer with the Pirates. And I remember them calling me back to high A after telling me I was going to double A. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, so, this is interesting. It's not what I thought, but I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm still in a new environment.
Yeah.
Just need to see more from you,
Make the
whatever the
best
case
of
may
it.
be. So I got to high A again in Bradenton, Florida, back in Florida again.
Yep.
And now looking at it, I understand how things came full circle. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I got there and it was more of, all right, I'm surrounded by 19 and 20-year-olds, some 18-year-olds. It was like Travis Swaggerty, O'Neal Cruz,
Yeah.
what's his name? Cal. Cal was in right field. He's an outfielder. He made it to the big leagues too. There's a bunch of guys, a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of big leaguers on that team, but they're all 19 and 18. They were running circles around me when it came to
Yeah.
workouts, when it came to like early work, when it came to hitting, BP, whatever it was. They were running circles around me. And I was 24 at the time. And I'm like, all right, I'm used to, and 24 ain't old in my eyes. And I was like, um, maybe I just need to do some little things to prove myself and get out of here. And
Yeah.
because I just wasn't able to relate to guys as much.
Right.
Um, but when I realized like how fast those guys were moving and how good they naturally were when they didn't understand what they were doing, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is the difference. This is the
Yeah.
difference. And it was more of, I came from an organization with Baltimore that wasn't really analytically driven,
Mm-hmm.
and the Pirates, which were on a different level, they had so many eyes and ears and
Yeah.
mouths to deliver approaches and deliver philosophies that it kind of sent me for a whirlwind, and I wasn't used to that.
Yeah.
So I kind of understood then, like, all right, I'm in a new environment, but the grass ain't always greener, type of
For
deal.
sure.
So that's when I understood, like, all right, maybe my time is up, and I was just like, all right, if it is, it's cool. I'm on my 7th year now. Like, it is what it is. I learned a lot, met a lot of
Yeah.
great people. So, if this is it, cool. If I need to get into another environment, let it be. But that was kind of the eye opening moment. Was I was having decent seasons,
Yeah.
2016, 17, 18. And then all of a sudden I stayed, like I just flattened out, plateaued at
Yeah.
that level. And I was kind of like, all right, yeah, this is, I'm trying hard right now. And this
Right.
is all I have, this is all I have. And
And,
that
and
was
you
right on the
and,
wall.
and you can relate to this too. And I didn't know this until you get to the Florida State League.
Hmm.
The Florida State League is tough,
Yeah.
and the reason why I say that we all in the Cardinals work, we always say like that's where a lot of hitters go to die
Hmm.
because it's just if one it's hard to hit there. So
Hmm.
that's one. Two is Florida. So if you're thinking as like a general manager standpoint, if I have an 18 19-year-old pitcher who's 95 to 100 off the mound, I'm not going to send him somewhere cold.
Yeah.
I'm going to send him somewhere where it's warm and right next to the facility. And that's all the Florida. At least when I played, that's all the Florida
Oh
State
yeah, you're right.
was. I mean, it was just arms after arms that threw extremely hard. They maybe knew where it was going, maybe not. Like so,
Hmm.
and it was every day. And on top of that, there's no fans. Like, well, at least we didn't have any fans. I
Yeah,
mean, we
no, it
maybe have
wasn't.
like 100, maybe.
If that, yeah.
If
If that,
that, yeah. So
yeah.
it's a tough league to hit in. I remember like even with the Cardinals, like I knew what type of time it was on when it came to the Florida State League. When I saw like a lot of our prospects, they would go to low A and then they'll skip high and go to double. A lot of our hitting prospects,
Yep.
they'll go to low A, skip high and go to double A. And double A was Springfield at the time, and it's a boombox there. So I'm like, okay, like I see what type of time we on, and if you can hit in the Florida State League, that says a lot. And when I say
Yeah.
hit, I mean like you can get you like a couple home runs and stuff like that. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I mean 13, 14 home runs in the Florida State League plays for like 23, 24.
Yeah.
So I feel the same. I guess with me, okay, this is writing on the wall moment. Our coach, I forgot his name, our manager at the time, he was an older guy, old school guy. And I mean, I've been around like quote unquote old school, guys that kind of told you straight all my life. And he called me in his office, and I wasn't doing the best, but like I had been on a good string of games, and he sat me down to Vince, let me I'm gonna be straight with you, and this is all he said. I was like, what's up? He was like, how old are you? I'm 23. He goes, when I was 23, I was in the big leagues. I go, all right, like thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like I get it, like I get where you're coming from, but like thanks, but and then with that being said, kind of what you said, it was a lot of guys that we had like maybe 4 or 5 guys that were like college guys that were kind of like my age, but not really. But the rest of the team was, I mean, just young guys. I mean, when I played, it was like Vlad Guerrero and Bo Bichette were in Dunedin, and both of them were like maybe 20 at the time, if that, 19. So like you said, you see a lot of these young guys that are doing just crazy stuff, and you're like, okay, like I see what's going on here. So for you, you get done playing. I know your mind's spinning, thinking about what's next. So like, what were you thinking? What was next for you after you finally got done? Like, okay, I'm gonna hang the cleats up. What's next for me?
Yeah. So like before that, going into that spring training, my buddy flew down just so I could feel comfortable because I didn't know anybody there with Pittsburgh. Yeah, a couple of people I crossed paths with, but it wasn't enough of a relationship to like feel trust on both ends. It still felt like competition at all points in time. So my buddy came down. He was like, "Man, what do you want to do?" And I didn't know at the time. This was in February, and the rest of the year, as I started seeing it right on the walls and like seeing playing time decrease, I was like, "All right, what do I want to do?" Because this didn't last forever. Like that time, shrinks fast.
Yeah.
So literally, I started thinking about things to do, and then came out of the gates. I was like, all right, I want to do showcases and provide another avenue and platform for kids that aren't going to those D1s,
Right.
But still want to play baseball and still have the ability to play baseball and be productive at maybe a D2, a D3, or NAIA, or even a JUCO. So decided to go that route. Ran showcases probably literally 4 or 5 months before COVID shut us down because my last year was 2019 playing. So right after I got released, gave a short window of like, all right, if a team calls, cool. If not, I'm okay. Like my resume, my stats numbers like speak for themselves. Like it wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. I still can produce for an organization. If I get another opportunity, sure. Got some non-affiliate opportunities in indie ball, and I was just like, you know what, I don't want to do that. Like I want to start life. That won't make me happy. Like I love baseball, but I'm okay with being around it and not necessarily having to play it.
For sure.
So I stepped away, started coaching, started doing lessons, and then started running showcases. And then 2020, obviously everything shut down kind of except for games here in Georgia. But, so I kept coaching. And then training as well. And I was like, I like this, building relationships. Still around the game. I still get a thrill from seeing guys reach their goals and have success on the field, and just become better human beings. So that kind of made me happy. So I was like, all right, I can do this. So that was a pivot after pro ball was coaching and training and just learning and just kind of passing on what I had learned. But yeah, that was the first step. And then those checks start coming in. I'm like, all right, I don't know if I can live off this. Just want stability. I love the relationships that I made, and I love the the impact that I had on some guys' lives, and some females. I coach softball as well. I train
Right.
softball as well, but it was more of like, all right, I need some more stability here while I do this. And I kind of took a pivot to all right, what I want more. I know I wanted to be in baseball. I just didn't know what other avenues there were. I knew
Yeah.
coaching, I knew training. That was it at the time. So I just started to research and start to look. Okay, what are some other avenues? Okay, there's pro coaching. And I'm thinking, okay, that's a little bit more. There is scouting, and then front office stuff is a little different, but and that
Hmm.
falls in the category of scouting, front office stuff, baseball
Right.
operations. But I knew there were other avenues. So I'm like, all right, I've been around it long enough where I understand a glimpse of what it takes to be in this position as a coach or this position of as a scout or whatever the case may be. So just kind of dove into that a little bit more, and went to a
Hmm.
like a pipeline diversity program
Okay.
ran by Tyrone Brooks, great guy.
Okay.
He was a former scout with the Braves a while back, and he just helps to give back and works for MLB now. But every year they host a like a pipeline diversity program for minorities and females and women
Okay.
that want to get in baseball more, coaching, front office, the whole nine. So I went out there, was fortunate enough to have good references there to recommend me there. Got into that program, and then just learn more. Like, all right, do I want to scout? Do I want to coach? I was still like in between because I loved being on the field. I love that interaction, and face to face interaction with players and seeing them grow on that level too. Because high school and middle school and elementary schoolers, it was cool. And college players, it were cool to
Hmm.
train them and coach those guys. But to be at the different level where I was at one point is
Hmm.
fun too. I got a different thrill of that. So I was like, all right, this might be it.
Yeah.
So went to coach with the Padres for 1 year. Was a hitting coach with them, and it was great. Like great
Yeah.
people. Obviously, you bump heads because there's so many different perspectives and so many
Yeah.
different
Philosophies
opinions.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's always going to be that, but I feel like that's healthy in those type of environments because
Hmm.
as long as you take your ego out of it, you can get to the actual answer to the truth or a better understanding for the organization.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I learned a lot there, and then I got that job actually at the Pipeline Diversity Program.
Okay.
Met a couple people, shook some hands, reached out to some contacts, and I was able to get a meeting with assistant general manager with the Padres, Josh Stein, and
Okay.
he said, "Hey, I like you. You said good things. I'll set up an interview tomorrow with I think it was two hitting coordinators, OB, Mike McCoy, and then Nathan Landau. He was a sports science guy. And the next day I had
Okay.
an interview, and shook my hand and said, good interview, whatever, whatever. Gave me good advice. OB gave me some really good advice, walked me out of the door. And then literally, I think that next week I was home because that program was like 10 days. And that
Yeah.
interview was like at the end of that 10 days.
Okay.
And went home and had an offer for scouting. And I had two offers from scouting and then an offer for player development. And
Okay.
I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And I
Right.
knew both would help as far as the stability piece.
Yeah.
Um, it's just that the roles look different as far as scheduling and travel and et cetera.
Yeah.
So I knew that I wanted to be in it, and I had a good opportunity to be in baseball on the other side as far as pro side. So went home, prayed on it, and then literally chose the Padres. A week later, I had a couple phone interviews with the
Yeah.
Padres, some more guys with the Padres on player development side. Vinny Lopez, Riley Westman, and literally, I think the end of that week, they said, we like you. We want to bring you on. If you want to be a Padre, we want you here. And literally that next week, I was a Padre. Learned a lot, built a lot of great relationships, and it was some guys that were from the Orioles that
Mm.
were with the Padres,
Okay.
coaching, strength and conditioning coaches, like some players too that I ran
Yeah.
into. And it was kind of weird because I was helping players that I played against get
Right.
better, and they're still in the game. So it's kind of cool but weird if you look at it.
For
Depends on your
sure.
perspective. So yeah, that was the route, and then literally the travel and the bus rides. I was like, man, I feel like a player again. I just
Hmm.
I don't really like this lifestyle. Like I liked helping the players, and I loved the relationships. It was just
Yeah.
again, those hotels,
And
the suite,
travel, man. It's
yeah,
crazy.
it was crazy. And I was like, man, I never explored scouting, and kind of was like, all right, maybe scouting is a little bit more stability,
Mm-hmm.
and I get to kind of regulate my travel. And
Yeah.
if I have a territory, I'm in that territory rather than I'm in the Midwest right now. I don't know anything about the Midwest. It's snowing
Right.
when we're supposed to be playing baseball. It's cold as crap, like whatever. Like,
Right.
it's just different. And we're going from Michigan, Indiana, like different
Mm-hmm.
territories, and it's just like um, it's a little bit wider stretch,
Yeah.
and you're on a bus. So that was a little bit different for me. And then I picked scouting, and I was fortunate enough to get into scouting. It doesn't really happen where
Right.
you can just kind of cross and just pick and choose.
Right.
It's a small window, and it's a small group of people that are able to do those jobs as far as player development and front office stuff. So from there, actually Terry, he hit me up and was like, "Hey man, like how you liking coaching?" And I was like, I mean, it's all right. And I think we were on the road at that time. I was like, that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were in like Ohio. And he was like, "Man, I just ran into the scouting director of the Mariners. And he said they'll be looking for some people in the offseason. They have some positions open. I'm thinking about scouting." He was like, "I remember you went to scout school, this and the third." I was like, "Yeah, man." And I was actually thinking about it because this just isn't it. Like I wanted to just explore that side. I never got to experience what
Right.
scouting had to offer." And he was like, "All right, well, if you want me to put your name in the hat, I will." I was like, "Man, I appreciate it. Yes, like let's
Let's
do it."
do it.
So got a text from the scouting director to set up an interview. We set up times, stuff like that, and I had multiple interviews. Same thing, Zoom call.
Right.
It was more so Zoom calls here though, not in person.
Yeah.
So did those for about a week. I guess they interviewed a few applicants, and was fortunate enough to get hired. And I went to California, of all places. They had the Georgia, South Carolina. They had California, Oregon, Northern California, Oregon, and then
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Southern California was available as well.
Okay.
So those are the three positions open. And I was fortunate enough to get hired by the Seattle Mariners. Um, and then was there for a year, California, Oregon. That was an experience. And then
Yeah.
this lifestyle change. I was away from home, but you learn a lot. I feel like when you're isolated like that, and you grow more. So, and I'm all about growth. So
For
then
sure.
went from there and came back home. Position was open here, Georgia, South Carolina, and I was able to come back home and be a little bit familiar territory. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is my second. I just finished my second draft with Seattle, going on year 3 now, going into the fall.
Nice, man. Well, for first off, congrats on that long journey.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah.
I feel
It's
like
a
a
lot.
lot of people. I feel like it's crazy to be able to still be in the game of baseball, but also be back home.
Yeah,
Like being in the southeast region, which is amazing. So I mean, that's a great setup you got. So you've been scouting now for a little bit. What are let's get into back into more of like the amateur side, like the players that you're scouting against. What are some of the things you're seeing from players now compared to when we were in high school of just the atmosphere of the certain type of player caliber player now compared to back in like 2012, 2013.
yeah. I feel like, and this could be biased because we grew up in this time, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we knew more, or my generation knew more about how to play the game. Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand how good I was until I was probably 13, 14. You start getting special attention and certain
Yeah.
things. Um, but I feel like kids nowadays, and I'm no knock on any of them because
Right.
there's all respect. Um, I think they're told they're good early on, like nine,
Mm-hmm.
10 years old. It's like, oh, you're the man, and they get held on the pedestal. They get a new bat if they get a hit.
Yeah.
They get a new glove to make a good play, and it's like I used the same glove for 3 years in a row. I used the
Right.
same bat until it broke, and then you send it
Right.
back for the warranty. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
just that's I think is a little different, but I feel like our practices were a little bit different set up too.
Yes.
No knock on travel coaches nowadays and
Yeah.
organizations. I
Definitely.
just think like the practice atmosphere is a little different. It's more of all right, let's hit or let's get this stuff out of the way so we can go hit, rather
Yeah.
than we're going to get this right on the defensive side. If we don't get this right, then we're not going to hit. It's more of an
Yeah.
incentive on that end. So I feel like just a structure. Um,
Yeah.
Atmosphere is a little different. In times we got social media, we have all this technology, and
Mm-hmm.
kids have phones at 10 years old now, so they can go look up baseball swings. They can go look up,
Yeah.
and every time they look on MLB, it's Shohei Ohtani, it's Aaron Judge, it's Juan Soto. It's the same
Yeah,
guys you see. So that's their viewpoint. That's their point of view is
for
is
sure.
is the highest of the highest, the cream of the crop. And it's like that's cool, but you did,
Great if you are that, but like that's
yeah,
not going to be that's like those like the Aaron Judges and Sotos and Shohei Ohtani's like they are like the once in a lifetime generational type of
yeah,
player. Like for instance, we remember when Bryce Harper was in high school,
yeah,
like and like him, leaving his senior like not even going to senior year, and
hmm,
I think he's the only player to win Golden Spike at a junior college. I mean,
hmm,
and you just see these generational players, which obviously is good that they're on TV because they're making the game fun. But
hmm,
that's all a lot of these, 13, 14, 15-year-olds see.
yeah,
So they're like, hey, I would have patted myself to this. Where in actuality, the other 95% of the league are guys that are more in line with you to where, they can kind of do a little bit of everything. They put the
hmm,
ball in play, gap to gap power, play good defense, hustle. Like those are the things that I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if as a player you want to master all those things and also being coachable. I think that's a big thing as well. To learn to know that like there's going to be people that are your coaches or other players that might know more or be better than you that you can learn something from instead of being
hmm,
jealous. So I completely agree with that standpoint of like where the game is now compared to where it is, and you hit on it a little bit with the social media part. Um, I think there's some pros and cons to it. Like you said, the pro is like
hmm,
you can go to YouTube and like do your own studying, but then or go to Instagram and like do your own studying. You have like a lot of hitting guys on there that are showing a lot of information. I think too much information can be bad as well, but
hmm,
there are a lot of guys that you can go to and look at stuff and learn stuff. Also, but then on the flip side, it's like, well, guys are posting their home runs, but they're batting, 220 in high school. It's like, what are we doing here? And
yeah,
I had one of my old buddies who I played with at Tennessee on here, and he was telling me like because he was scouting, he was recruited at Tennessee, and he was like
hmm,
it's tough because you have these videos of these guys, and it's just an anomaly or there was just that one time thing, and then you go scout them, and it's tough.
hmm,
Um, but to your point, I can completely see like how it can be different. When it comes to scouting. So I guess for you, what do you look for when you're going to scout a guy, whether it's in high school or in college, that strikes your eye?
yeah. Like obviously we look for tools. Like
Mm-hmm.
you want to see if you have something to work with, whether it's a run tool, hit tool, arm, um, power. You want something.
Yeah.
Um, so it has to be something there to work with. But then too, I mean, you don't know this until you go into a house or talk to a player or talk to a family or talk to a coach or whatever your resource is. Um, but just good humans. And then
Mm-hmm.
are you able, like, projectability, like, okay, look at a body, look at, okay, he's going to get bigger, he's going to get taller, he's going to get stronger. That usually happens with everybody, whether you're short, whether you're tall. Like your body's going to change. You're not going to be the same forever if you actually work towards
For
getting
sure.
better in some capacity. So are you able to reach your top end of what I think of you? So projections are huge, obviously in the high school guys, like they're 16, 17, 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, they're not even really fully developed yet.
Right.
And you project a little bit more on those guys. So are you able to get to this ceiling of what I think you are going to be? And that's makeup. So
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily are you showing to the field on time and all that, or early and all that other stuff. It's more of, are you able to reach what I think you're going to be like? So
Yeah.
the training part goes into it. Yeah, how you are as a teammate. Yeah, how you are in school. That stuff matters. But it's a collection of all that stuff. It's not just
Yeah.
one thing that's going to make you the great player. It's a collection of things, and
Yeah.
it's a balance, work life. And you don't want to just get into the gym every day and then say, okay, I'm going to make it. It's more of, all right, are you actually socializing? Are you actually
Mm-hmm.
um, are you actually learning and growing? Or are you just kind of one lane, one tunnel, one track minded? So
Yeah.
obviously we look for tools, like I said earlier, but are you able to reach your top end as far
Yeah.
as who I think you're going to be as a player? But yeah, projections go into a lot of that.
For sure. And I guess that seems like it was summing up a lot for the high school players. What about when it
Mhm.
comes to like somebody in college?
Yeah, for college. So for college, I mean, those guys are less impressionable. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like 21, 22, they kind of already have their idea of who they are.
Yeah.
They've probably been through a little bit more adversity than the high
Yeah.
school player. So it's more of like, all right, you got a shorter window to project, so it's not going to be as high. It's more of like, okay, what are you showing me right now?
Yeah.
Obviously, again, tools are huge.
Like more ready for the big league type of player.
Yeah,
Would you say in a nutshell?
yeah, when I call you, or if your name gets called in draft, like, can you go to? I guess now they shrunk the levels, but can you go to low A and perform?
Yeah.
Um,
Like right
what?
now.
Yeah, what intensity are you playing at? Well, what's your physicality? Are you still a little underdeveloped as far as size? Um, your age is a big factor. Your
Yeah.
position, and just how you operate and how your movements are on the field. Like, what does that look like? Is it easy for you? Do you do it with ease, or do you have a little bit of effort behind it?
Yeah.
Those guys that do things with ease, it's like, okay, that that's a little special. Some people that do it with effort is not necessarily that's not special. It's more of like,
Hmm.
how many times can you do that with effort over 140, 160 game span?
Right.
So those are some things to look into as well.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, you got to have good humans, because
For
you're in a
sure.
clubhouse with other people from different areas of the world. Are you a good teammate? Are you good to be
Hmm.
around? Are you a headache from coaches? Like that type of thing is definitely important, because those things hinder you from getting to who you're supposed to be if you are
Completely agree.
a headache to your coaches and teammates. Like it just stops your development.
Yeah,
So,
and that's
um,
going to that coachability part too.
mhm.
So, like, and you've heard this, but I wanted to ask you: do you sometimes look at like how a player deals with failure? Like, let's say like they have like you already know they're good, but let's say they have like a 2 strikeout game. Like, do you watch them like how they go about their business like after that? Like if they're throwing stuff down or like you know cussing at their like cussing at somebody, like how they handle that type of you know um, just failure at that
In
moment. Is
person,
that something
yeah.
you look at?
It doesn't really deter me. I mean, yeah, if you
Yeah.
see it, you see it. But like, if someone slams their helmet after a strikeout or is cussing somebody out or whatever the case may be, like, from my perspective, it might be a little different, but
Yeah.
that shows you care, in my opinion.
Okay.
Now, how you come back the next day, how you come back the next at bat,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. That's more so what I'm looking at. Like, are you still
Okay.
carrying those at bats into your next day? Are you
Hmm.
carrying that last strikeout into your next at bat? Like, I care about that, because you're gonna fail in this game more than you
Hmm.
succeed. So that's something I look at more so. But the temper tantrums and the aggravation, how you lash on others, it means something. It does.
Hmm.
Um, but that definitely can be controlled. And some
Yeah.
people
As
don't
time
agree with
goes.
that. Some people do. But in the right environment, like if you're on a team with an Aaron Judge or a Tani or a Mookie Betts or a Bryce Harper, like, I remember the incident with Bryce and Papelbon, I think it was, something like that, and they got
Oh
into it in
yeah.
the dugout.
Hmm.
Like, that stuff happens, but it's more so like, all right, is he not a good player because of that, or
Yeah.
is it just like more of emotions and to like competitive nature getting the best of our adrenaline, and we just lash out, and like, things happen. Nobody's perfect, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't say that deters anything, but it's more of like, how do you bounce back from that? Because since then, you haven't heard anything from Bryce. Like, that was just emotion. I think they both apologized to each other, and
Yeah.
you just keep moving forward. But he still produces on the field, so it doesn't
For
necessarily
sure.
deter you from getting off a player necessarily. It's just more of,
Hmm.
is that a consistent action? Like, are they just a turd, or was that just like, all right, I struck
Or a
out
one-time thing.
emotions? Yeah, like, I
Definitely.
don't. Yeah, if it's consistent, then it's like, okay, we need to address some things. But if it's more of like, emotions got a little hot, you know, water ran over, and then, all right, cool, but let's address it. Let's move on
Hmm.
forward. Like, we can't get stuck on those type of situations. But yeah, again, at the end of the day, talent is talent, and it's
Yeah.
more of like, are you able to get to who you're supposed to be at the
And
end
I
of the day?
think that you said it earlier to where it's like yeah if you have a episode after that one at bat it was like okay that's fine but like are you to carry that over to the next day
Hmm.
because as you know I mean in high school you play what 2 or 3 times a week
Hmm.
and then you jump let's say you get drafted in high school you go from that to playing every day
Hmm.
or playing at least 6 games a week and I mean that goes from let's just say 12 at bats in high school a week or 9 to 10 at bats actually, or
Hmm.
whatever, and then like maybe like say 9 to 12 to 6 games a week. Let's say you get 4 at bats. That's 20 to 24 at bats you're getting.
Yep.
So if you carrying that over, you can have and you're carrying over that that failure from yesterday. That's gonna be tough because it's gonna snowball quick.
Hmm.
So that's why I asked that, because I see a lot of kids that sometimes, like, yeah, and they do care. Like sometimes they're like, hey, like, it happens. Like, I'm gonna show some emotion, but it is what it is. Then I see some kids that they'll have two hits, and then one at bat they'll just strike out or something, and they just let it loose. And I'm like, come on, like, that's like, let's show, like, I get you showing emotion. I guess for me, I think it was my college coach, or some of my coaches. He was like, you have your, until you take your batting gloves off. Like, do what you need to do. Go to the back room until you take your batting gloves off. Once
Hmm.
you take them off, watch that bat away. Go from there. So,
Hmm.
but that makes a lot of sense though. So I guess in my last question before we get going is, I guess, and this is your opinion, when it comes to somebody, a high school kid or whoever, who their aspirations make it to the big leagues.
Hmm.
Do you suggest more of them like trying to go out of high school? Do you suggest more of, like, if, like, let's say they're committed to like a Power Five, like, maybe if the money's not right, taking that opportunity, or are you more on a case by case basis where, like, everybody's different?
I think everybody's different,
Yeah.
because everybody's not raised in the same household.
Right.
So like I said, where it was a big adjustment for me off of the field, where I had to learn how to manage my time off of the field more so than on.
Right.
Um, you kind of understand that from where you come from, as far
Mm-hmm.
as if you're a little bit more mature, if you're a little underdeveloped, and then from my opinion, like, if you're a little bit more mature and you can handle being away from home and you can
Mm-hmm.
handle things on your own, then if the money aligns, because it's still an investment, if the money aligns, where you're able to provide and take care of yourself, like,
Mm-hmm.
and save or whatever you need to do, um, go take that opportunity. But if you know you're not ready mentally, um, even if the money is good, if you know you're not good mentally,
Yeah.
it's tougher to say yeah or no, because, like, if I'm not ready mentally and I just got a boatload of money, I don't know what to do with that money. Or if I don't have good representation, good
Yeah.
household that I came from, it's like that money's gonna be gone. You never invested it right, or
Yeah.
you don't know what to do with it, and then you just kind of become a different person and you just get big headed sometimes.
Yeah.
But it just depends on case to case. It's different. It depends on how you're brought up. If you're mature enough, if you feel like, all right, I can go handle myself, and not just like saying, okay, I can go handle myself. It's more so what what instances before this have you had to, like, man up? Have you had to, like, really toughen up? And which that's what we ask now as scouts. Like, that's why we go into homes for home visits. Is more of
Mm-hmm.
understanding, like, is this guy mature enough? Like, if we hand this guy
Mm-hmm.
$1 million, is he going to still be the same guy that I think he is, as far as a
Yeah.
hard worker, one that shows up on time, he's reliable, that type of person? Is he going to be that same person, or is it going to be more of, all right, he's just in it for the money, he just wanted that payday, he just wanted his name called, and now everything kind of shuts down? So I think it's person to person. You got to understand who you are individually, when you look in the
Mm-hmm.
mirror. So some guys it works out, some guys it doesn't. Some guys peak a little too early,
Yeah.
and you just never really know really until after. But to give yourself a good gauge, is just to know, like, what tough experiences have I had before, what responsibilities have I really had before this opportunity of getting drafted out of high school or college. So you got to really look at yourself in the mirror and see if you're really ready to go. Because in my opinion, talent is going to be there. It's more
Mm-hmm.
about injury and taking care of your body and handling your other things. But if you're able to decipher, okay, this money from my actual mindset and maturity, then I think that really shifts whether you should take it or not.
Definitely. No, that makes sense, and that makes sense. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
And I got one more question for you. I'll let you go.
Okay.
So I guess you've been in the coaching side of pro ball. You've been on the scouting side of pro ball.
Mhm.
You've been in pro ball. You've also been the high school guy. You've been recruited. When it comes to colleges, what is some advice that you would give? That 15, 16 year old that is trying to either go to college or get drafted. Um, Whichever one. Just they're trying to get to the big leagues. Eventually, that's their long term goal. But what's some advice you would give to that 15 or 16 year old that's going through the whole amateur circuit, going
Mhm.
through high school, going through all this? What is some advice you would give them?
Um, First thing, don't rush. You got way more time than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of people think, oh, I'm 16 years old and I haven't really gotten a call or I haven't really gotten attention,
Yeah.
where that's happened a lot and people have still made it to the big leagues.
Right.
So one, you have more time than you think. And if those opportunities aren't presenting themselves, take a step back and see what you could do differently to um, to make those dreams a reality, whether it's college or pro ball,
Yeah.
or the big leagues. So taking that step back, and then once you take that step back and identify what is missing or what could be better, um, take action on what's missing. If
Mm-hmm.
it's okay, I need to lock in and get a routine that's geared towards speed, or I need to lock in and get a routine that's geared towards my hitting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
build a plan towards that, and just take a step backwards. It's okay to disappear for a little bit,
Yep.
and then show up to that showcase, and then show up to that big tournament or whatever. But you still got to prepare, and you still have to be ready. And internally, you'll always know when you're ready. So I think
Yeah.
if you take a step back and actually analyze why things aren't happening for you, or why things are, like, you kind of maneuver and set a plan, set a goal, and just take action from there. If you got to write it down. But like,
Mm-hmm.
and then once you check off something, once you feel like you've accomplished something on that list, check it off. Keep working on it, but check it off, and then
Yeah.
continue to move down your list. But I think a lot of guys rush things and compare themselves. One of my favorite quotes is, "Comparison is a thief of joy," and
Yep.
I would never like learn that growing up. Like, don't compare yourself to other people. Like,
Yeah.
you're yourself for a reason.
Yep.
And everybody didn't just start on this high horse that you see them on. Like
For sure.
The Aaron Judges of the world started somewhere. The
Yep.
Juan Soto's of the world started somewhere. The Otanis, I know he's great, and all these players are great. They started somewhere, so
Yeah.
you just got to start and then continue to keep your feet moving. So
For sure. For sure, man. Well, that concludes the episode. Big Dog, I appreciate you being on here, man, giving
oh
some
yeah,
good insight on everything. I know we've talked about this for a while, and just appreciate you taking some time out of your day just to,
yeah,
walk through everything with me. So,
yeah.
love you, Big Dog, and take care of yourself. All right. I'll see you soon.
All right, love you too, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir. Yes,
All right,
sir. Y'all, thank you for watching this episode. Please like, subscribe, send it to whoever you feel would be best. I'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a good one.